Okay, I'm just going to freestyle this and see where it goes. Normally my life is quite peaceful, but of late, past couple of weeks, I've been facing quite a bit of conflict. So I thought I would raise the subject of turning conflict to your advantage, rather than seeing conflict as something that has gone wrong in your life, using it as a way to develop your own character. So anyway, a couple of things have happened the past week or two. The worst of them has been, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but my YouTube activity has come into conflict with my day job. I was basically called into the office and I'm not going to say interrogated, that's too strong a word, but it was a meeting between myself, the principal, and the chairman of the board of governors, where I was advised that the content of one of my videos used inappropriate language. This was the way it was put to me. I did my best to defend myself and also to play ball with their request, as it were, but the whole thing has left a very sour taste in my mouth, and I do feel that it shouldn't have happened the way it happened. It shouldn't have been handled the way it was handled. I'm quite angry about it, really. But anyway, that's one event. The other one is really just the backlash I've been getting on my videos from the atheist community. I have been talking about atheism and pantheism, comparing the two, talking about the differences, talking about why I think pantheism is a better position. Alongside that, we've been talking about naturalism and the alternative to that, where we see the natural world as a kind of veneer over a reality that is metaphysical in nature, that we can't penetrate but is real. So it attracted the attention of the atheist community, and I suffered a lot of abuse from that community, which is disheartening to me, because if their first contact with me had been my Recovery from Religion playlist, where I've put together all the videos that I've made helping people get past religion and the various mind games that are played in religion, if that had been their first contact with me, I'm pretty sure they would have went, hey, this is a great channel, we really like this guy. But no, their first contact with me was me defending the idea that there's something more than the natural order. Not what you would call God in the monotheistic sense, just something deeply mysterious. But apparently that's taboo. And the way to deal with that, if you're an atheist, is just to be arrogant to your opponent, to shout him down, to mock him, this sort of thing. Now, I'm not taking it to heart. I don't do insecurity, if you haven't already noticed. I looked upon it as a learning exercise, and that's kind of where I'm going with this video. You know, learning to see conflict in a different light, not as something that you have to be trampled underfoot by, but as a means of improving yourself. So I use this as a means of getting a handle on where the atheist community is coming from. And here's what I'm going to say, and this is quite a broad statement, admittedly. So it's not applicable to all atheists, no. But generally speaking, the atheist community on social media is a community where atheists get together to make videos where they spend a lot of time mocking a supreme being that they don't believe exists. Now, doing that instead of actually attempting to teach believers, Christians, etc., a different way of looking at life. No, always the mockery. No attempt at education. It's always for laughs. And who are the laughs for? They're not for Christians, they're for other atheists. Atheists make videos for other atheists. It's a community of mutual backslapping, of self-congratulatory mutual backslapping. That's what goes on. You take a look even at a really popular channel like, is it Dark Matter? Is that the one? Yeah. Where he makes all these animations and they're all about poking fun at an imaginary being called God. Who are they for? Do they teach anything to monotheists? No. It's all just laughs for atheists. And he's a darling of the atheist community, right? Another one I remember is Mr. Repzion, who used to do a thing called Facepalm Sunday, where he would basically spend his Sunday looking for somebody to pick on. I'm actually glad to see that Mr. Repzion appears to have turned a corner. I haven't been on his channel for a long time, but I checked it out today, and he was reflecting upon how he used to make videos basically creating controversy for views, was the way he put it. And he hates the fact that he's done that. And I think that's tremendous. So I know what my mission statement is as a video creator. It's to enrich consciousness. That's what this is about. If I don't do that, I've failed. Otherwise I'm just here making noise. And that's largely what social media is these days. Just noise, noise, noise. But I'm actually interested in helping Christians see things in a slightly different light. That's why I think pantheism, by the way, is better than atheism. Because rather than dispense with the idea of God as a useful word, it allows me to help Christians see that what they think of as God may not necessarily be God. That we can't think of God as a person, and we mustn't think of him as a person. That he, she, it is far more mysterious than that. Right? What does atheism offer, by contrast? An accidental universe. And the Christians aren't fooled by that, and neither am I. You see, the intuition, that basic intuition where you look at the universe and you think this all came from something marvelous that is beyond itself, beyond the universe itself. That's not a bad intuition, that's a very intelligent intuition. Where religion goes wrong is not that intuition, it's all the garbage to do with people who claim to speak for God and they write holy texts, and then there's a whole country or nation following these holy texts as if it's the word of God, when it's all just, you got to put your trust that these men actually were in contact with God. You know, this is where all the poison seeps in when it becomes authoritarian in nature. That basic spiritual impulse is a good one. That sense that there's something more than just the mundane world. But the atheists don't like that. So I identified naturalism, their reliance on naturalism, as the point where we differ. And they don't even like me doing that, because some of them will go, naturalism is the most rational position. And others will go, atheism has nothing to do with naturalism. I can't win. Can't win with this community. And of course, it's usually spoken with mocking tones, because that's the atheist way. They seem to be they're quite intelligent, but they have this demeanor that is always aggressive, always looking to pick a fight. And I think that's tragic. It really is. I mean, if I was ever invited to debate a Christian or an atheist, my way of handling that would be, okay, let's see if we can find common ground somewhere and work forward from there and see where our differences really lie, try to identify the different premises behind our thinking and to try to reach an understanding. Whereas no, the atheist approach is, I'm going to poke you in the eye, poke you in the eye. Pantheist, oh, you're just a deluded theist. A lot of them didn't even seem to know what pantheism was. And it's very sad that, pantheism was defined by a philosopher many centuries ago called Spinoza. And I only know a little bit about him. But he was essentially undermining the church. He was saying, no, we don't follow scriptures. We don't conceptualize God as a person. We work it all out with our mind. And he got excommunicated from the church. He was essentially an atheist in the sense of a non-monotheist. Long before the current crop of very safe atheists where nobody's really going to cause you any harm. Spinoza was doing the real hard work back at a time when it could be very costly to defy the church. But no, he's just an idiot. He's just a deluded theist. This is what you get from the atheist community. So my stance now regarding atheism is, if I ever felt like calling myself an atheist, and I have flirted with the idea, that's totally off the table now. I will never in a million years call myself an atheist, because I see the terrible state that community is in. It's something quite like religious fundamentalism in terms of the attitude of the people in that community. It's absolutely toxic, and I want nothing to do with it. And I know there are people who subscribe to me who call themselves atheists. That's absolutely fine. It's entirely up to you. But I hope you can see that what I'm saying is true as a trend. And I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you and me share a rapport. But if you're anything like me in the way I think, atheism's not a good fit. Atheism, it's naturalistic. It's totally against the idea of anything being real that a human can't penetrate or reach. No. So anyway, that's what I learned from that experience. So I'm taking that forward. Basically learning, don't cast your pearls before swine. Better to be an individualist completely, not to need a community. And that takes me on to the third piece of conflict, which is not a very serious one, kind of funny in a way. I was walking down the street and some young people were walking past me and they nodded the head. And then when they got past me, at a conveniently safe distance of about 20 or 30 meters, one of them started shouting his head off, all sorts of abuse. And I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I knew it was abusive. And there was a good 7 or 8 sentences worth. The only one I heard was the last one, which was, "Devil worshipper!" Presumably because he's been on my channel, because I have talked about the occult and Satanism in the past, and I'm likely to talk about it again. But some people really have no clue. Again, what did I learn from that? It's a lesson that I've tried to teach myself over and over, and I do so with varying degrees of success, which is just to not care what people think. Don't retaliate. Just let him have his say. Move along. Because if I need to get my own back on a person like that, that's just ego, isn't it? And it's ego that's causing him to say those things to me. It's a terrible weakness of the ego. Because a normal, healthy ego doesn't need to lash out at people for no reason just to make himself feel better, you know? So there's some deficiency there that's kind of tragic. So when you recognize that, you can kind of feel pity more than anything for a person like that. But ultimately, you know, he's not somebody that I know. He's not somebody I have to care about. And that means I don't really have to care what he thinks of me. It doesn't affect my life one way or the other. So you just learn to let it go. Yeah. Just don't bring ego into it. And you got to do it in such a way that you're not brooding about it afterwards, because that's the ego very much active. So I suppose I did a little bit of brooding about it, but not too much. You see, it's all a learning experience, the whole thing. Any conflict you face, it's all a learning experience. Yeah. So regarding all of this, put together, my conflict with my workplace, my conflict with the atheist community, my conflict on the street, the best revenge is just to keep on going and not let it get on top of you. So here I am, continuing to make videos, same as always. Alright folks, take care.